So the other day I was thinking and I was like, gosh, I haven't done a book haul in a while. Like maybe I should go through my bookshelves, grab all the books that I've bought in the past couple of months and do a little mini book haul. Tell me why I pulled off the books and this is the pile I'm left with. Sorry? Literally, when did this happen? Like I thought I was doing very well with my book buying. And honestly, a lot of these were like Christmas gifts, Christmas gift cards, that sort of thing. So it's not as bad as it looks in terms of my bank account, but I guess we do have a pretty decent book haul today. So without further ado, let's jump into all of the books that I've either bought or received in December, January, and February. First of all, my sweet husband Liam gifted me a book advent calendar that was like a 12 days of Christmas type of thing leading up to Christmas Day. So every day for 12 days, I got to open a book. I actually did a little advent calendar series on my TikTok where I opened all of the books on camera every day and posted a TikTok about it. So if you want to see my reaction to opening these books, then feel free to check out my TikTok. First of all, we have A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I don't know a whole lot about this. I'm pretty sure it's fantasy and I'm pretty sure it's set at a school. I saw a picture of the map. I'll include a photo of what the map looks like from this series because it is insane, and seeing that map was honestly what convinced me that I really wanted to read this. I know it's set in a school and so it has that academic kind of vibe to it and it just sounds so intriguing. Then another fantasy book that I got is Twin Crowns. This one is one that I'm really excited about. Again, I don't know too much about the actual plot of the book, but I've heard a lot of people say that this is one of those books where they didn't like fantasy and then they read this and this is what made them fall in love with fantasy, or I've seen people say this is one of those books that they wish they could reread for the first time. Everything that I've heard about this book has just made me want to read it so badly. Next up we have The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. This is actually my current read, hence the bookmark, like halfway through. I am loving this so far. It is so freaking fun. I think if you like YA cheesy, cutesy romances, you will love this, and that's just like exactly what I'm in the mood for right now. I mean, I haven't finished it yet, but I would definitely recommend it as of right now. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of feels like I'm the last person in the world to read this book, but this is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I don't know why I haven't read this yet. I literally have no reason, but I am very excited to read it. I won't talk too much about it because I feel like it's one of those books that most people already know about. A lot of people compare it to Love and Other Words, and I think The Summer I Turned Pretty as well. And I do know that Carly Fortune has another book coming out this year as well. So hopefully I love this and then I can read the next book as well. I'm hoping Carly Fortune could be a new favorite author for me. I feel like this is very hit and miss. Some people love it, some people don't. I think I'll love it. We'll see. Next we have another fantasy. This is Jade City, which is the first book in the Greenbone saga. I feel like I have so many series that I want to start. Like I have the first book of quite a few at the moment. I was originally really intimidated by this because I thought it was like a high fantasy, but then one of you guys let me know that it's actually urban fantasy. So that makes it sound a little less daunting to me. But I know that this is a favorite, like top favorite series or trilogy for so many people, and a lot of my favorite, specifically like TikTok creators, this is like their ultimate favorite series above ACOTAR, above Throne of Glass, above a lot of the ones that are like classic favorites. And so of course I've just been influenced by the book talkers. We actually have a lot of fantasy here, but another one that I have is To Kill a Kingdom, and I also think this one might be a series potentially as well. And it says on the front, perfect for fans of Leigh Bardugo and Sarah J Maas, which sign me up. I have a heart for every year I've been alive. There are 17 hidden in the sand of my bedroom. Every so often I claw through the shingle just to check if they're still there, buried deep and bloody. Okay. Let me know which fantasy book I should pick up next because we have a lot of options. Do I read A Deadly Education, Twin Crowns, Jade City, To Kill a Kingdom? Like we have so many options. Next we have Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. I did read this kind of recently. I have a whole reading vlog, spoiler free and spoilers. I'll link it down below. I read this and House of Sky and Breath. I only own the first one right now because the second one, they don't sell it in this size yet, so I'm waiting. I think it comes out in May and then I'll be able to have the two that match. If you want to know what I thought of this book and this series, definitely check out the reading vlog because you literally get every single thought that I had while reading this, but I loved it. It was so much fun. Next up we have a romance. This is Marriage for One by Ella Mays. I am very intrigued to know if I'm gonna like this or not because I have read To Hate Jason Thorne, is that right? To Love Jason Thorne, so sorry. Hated it. But I am gonna give Ella Mays a second chance. I've heard a lot of people say they didn't like Jason Thorne, but they loved Marriage for One, and I know this is like a favorite for a lot of people. So I have hope. I have hope in you, LMAs. Please don't disappoint me. Either way, it's a beautiful cover. I love that they redid the cover because the other one was like not it for me. Another fantasy series that I have the first book of but haven't yet started is The Bridge Kingdom. I think this is a trilogy. It's fantasy. Is it enemies to lovers? I think it could be. Raised as a warrior, Princess Lara knows two things. King Aaron of the Bridge Kingdom is her enemy and that she must be the one to bring him to his knees. So I'm assuming that means enemies to lovers, which, not gonna lie, enemies to lovers is not like a trope that I like actively seek out. I'm not like obsessed with enemies to lovers. However, I am way more obsessed with enemies to lovers when it is in a fantasy. Like in contemporary romance, like I don't care. I feel like it's never done as well as it is in fantasy. Then we have Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. This is the second book in the Villain series, and I have read the first book in that one, and I'm really excited to read the second book. The first book was a 5-star read for me, so I'm really hoping and praying that this one is just as good. It is a bit thicker. How many pages is it? It's like almost 600, so it is a little bit intimidating to me, but also in January I read both of the Crescent City books in like a week, so I know I can do it. I know I have the potential. I just need to tap into it. The series as a whole is kind of about two guys who are roommates at this prestigious college, and they realize that if they go through a near-death experience, they obtain kind of a superpower. Like it's almost like their body reacts in some sort of extraordinary way and they gain some sort of power, and everyone who goes through this near-death experience situation ends up with a different power. And it's so incredibly interesting. Like it's so much more intricate and detailed than I'm explaining, but it would take me a long time to really explain the full depth of like the world building and of the magic. But it is genius to me. Like the first book, I was just in awe of V.E. Schwab's ability to create a world and like a magic system that is so cool and so like believable in a way. Like it almost felt like it could be present in our world right now, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how the second book compares. Then we have Poster Girl by Veronica Roth. This is a dystopian book. I have started this one as well, and I'm like a third of the way through, and I just kind of put it down and haven't picked it up again since. I wouldn't say I've DNF'd it because I am really planning on coming back to it again. It's part of my February TBR. But as of right now, there's just like nothing that has like held my attention super well. Like I'm not obsessed. I'm not like, oh my gosh, I need to know what's happening next. So TBD. And lastly, for my little advent calendar, I have Belladonna by Adeline Grace. This is one of my favorite covers that I own. I think it is beautiful. I think this is YA fantasy. The only thing I know about this one is that it's about a girl. I think she like escapes death a lot of times. Like there's a lot of situations where she should have died, but she didn't. And then somehow she forms a friendship slash like relationship potentially with death. I'm just as confused as you are. Like I really don't know, but it sounds so intriguing to me, so I wanted to pick it up. Moving on to the next stack. First up, we have Dear Dolly by Dolly Alderton. This is a non-fiction book, and Dolly Alderton is the author of Everything I Know About Love, which is her memoir. If you don't know who Dolly Alderton is, she's a columnist for the Sunday Times Style magazine, and this is a collection of, I'm assuming her either like her favorite or her best columns that she's written. And her column specifically is where people write in and say, Dear Dolly, here's my problem, and then she provides advice and like what she would do in that situation. And I have read this one. I read it in December and I loved it. I think if you liked her first book, you would probably also love this one. It felt very much like big sister advice, and I think she's very wise. I also finally got my hands on Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. I haven't read this yet. I'm so intrigued to see what I think because I feel like I've heard so many mixed reviews. I'm not gonna lie, I am sad I didn't buy it when it was like the self-published version because that cover is stunning. This one's not ugly, but I think in comparison, I did like the really simple white cover. I know it says on the front it's a love story, but I've heard people say that it's not really a romance. Like it's more of like a general fiction book that includes a love story, but not necessarily like a healthy one. So honestly, I really don't know what to expect from this book, but I think I need to be in a very specific mood to pick this up. Like I need to be in a very like, almost like a Sally Rooney mood, I think. But of course, I'll share my opinions whenever I do pick it up. Okay, next up we have like a mini stack because all these books are kind of related or connected. Over December and January, I read The Infernal Devices and The Mortal Instruments, which are two series by Cassandra Clare. They are both series within an almost like a larger series, I guess, kind of like a megaverse universe situation where all of the books happen in the same universe, but in different places and at different times. And there are so many books in that universe. And after reading The Mortal Instruments and The Infernal infernal devices. I really just fell in love with the Shadowhunters universe, and I wanted to continue reading more of the like mini series within that universe. So first of all, I picked up the Dark Artifices. I was able to find a box set online so cheap. I think all three of these cost me like $20, which is just insane. So I'm very happy that I got my hands on this. I have started the first one, which is Lady Midnight, and I'm like halfway through, but obviously these books are chunky, so it's gonna take me a hot minute to get through these. And then with the gift card that I got for Christmas, I decided to pick up the first two books in the Last Hours trilogy. I know the third one just came out, but I don't really feel the rush to go and buy it because I haven't even like started these two yet. I love the covers of these. I think they are beautiful. The next book is probably the most money I've ever spent on a singular book because it cost me about 50 Australian dollars, which is kind of painful for what it is. Like, it's just a book. I don't need to be spending $50 on a book, but that is what it costs to get here in Australia. So introducing my newest prized possession, and it is a US version of Daisy Hates the Great Undoing. And you might be like, Rachel, you can buy this at Dymocks for like 30 bucks. Why on earth would you pay $50 for it? Well, that is because you can buy the Australian / the UK version for like 30 bucks at Dymocks. You can't buy the US version. And I've already bought the first 3 books in the series in the US version, and I need them to match. This is the 4th book in the Magnolia Parks universe, and it's my favorite series of all time. So honestly, I would have spent probably $100 on this. Nothing would have stopped me from buying this book in the version that I wanted because I love her so much. I can't decide which Magnolia Parks book has my favorite cover because they are all stunning. And when the cover reveal came out for this one, at first I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't really want a naked man's body on my book, but like, it's literally art. And also, if you read the book, you understand. That's one of my favorite parts about the Magnolia Parks books is once you read the book, you can look back to the cover and every single thing on the cover makes sense and is referenced throughout the book, which is just Jessa Hastings' mind. And whoever does her covers, I love you. 10 out of 10. One of the more recent additions to my bookshelf is Jasper Vale. This is the 4th book in the Eden series by Devney Perry. This one was only released a few weeks ago, so I was very excited to read this. If you haven't heard about this series, The Edens is a interconnected standalone romance series, and it's about a family called the Edens who live in a small town in Montana, and within the Edens family there are 6 children, like 6 siblings, and they're all adults. There are 3 boys and 3 girls, and each book in the series centers around a different Eden sibling. And this is the 4th book in the series, and this one centers around Eloise. And the basic premise of this one is that Eloise goes to Vegas for a weekend, goes on a night out, and somehow ends up getting married in Vegas to a guy called Jasper Vale. And if you've read the series, specifically the 3rd book in the series, you'll know who Jasper is. And if you like found family, or you like interconnected standalone series where you get to see old characters reappear in pretty much every book, you will love the Edens, and I definitely recommend. They're all just really like fun, very easy reads. I also recently picked up Glow because they finally brought out the version that matches all of the rest of my books in this series. I already have the first 3. This is the 4th book in the Plated Prisoner series, and I originally read this when I borrowed it from the library because I was waiting for them to bring out the matching cover, and they finally did. So of course I purchased it straight away. Another new release for me that I picked up as soon as I could is The Stolen Air by Holly Black. This is a bit of a spin-off series from the Folk of the Air series, the Cruel Prince trilogy, and I read this in January and really enjoyed it. I think I gave it like 4 stars. It was good, but it wasn't quite as good as the Cruel Prince in my opinion. But I'm also very excited to read the next book in this series, I think next year when it comes out, because I feel like there's a lot of potential for the 2nd book to just be amazing, and I'm crossing my fingers that I'm obsessed with it, but we'll have to wait and see. This is one that I'm kind of scared about, but I've seen so many people reading this recently, and I'm pretty sure this is one that makes everyone cry, and that's the reason why I'm like hesitant towards it, because I don't really like sad books all that often. But if it gives me like a worthwhile romance before it makes me cry, I think it'll be worth it. So we'll see how I feel about this one. Maybe I should vlog my reading experience because that could be interesting. I don't know anything about the actual plot of this book though. I just know that it's a romance, and I think it might be a YA romance, potentially. Next we have another new release, and this is one of those books that as soon as I just saw the cover, I knew I needed this. Everything about it just sounds so perfect to me. I think it's like a cozy fantasy. A lot of people say it reminds them of like an adult version of the Spiderwick Chronicles, which I was obsessed with as a kid. So I'm really intrigued to pick this up and just like see what it's all about. I don't know if I've ever read a cozy fantasy, and it just sounds like it would be right up my alley. So I'm hoping and praying that I adore this. Did I even tell you what it's called? This is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and I'm pretty sure it's about a lady called Emily who is like studying fairies and literally just as it sounds, trying to write an encyclopedia of fairies. But there's also like an academic rival involved, I think, and I think there's a bit of a romance. And I just, this cover is beautiful. It is everything I could ever dream of. It just looks like such a cozy, perfect, magical time. And lastly, we have this little stack here, which are all books that were gifted to me by either publishers or authors. I don't know how this started happening, but I am so thankful. Like, I never in a million years would have thought that I would receive books from like publishers and authors, new releases, things like that. Like, I could genuinely cry at how grateful I am, and I just want to say thank you to you guys, because obviously if it weren't for you watching my videos, there's no way that I would have received these books. So I just want to say I love you so much, and I'm so thankful for you guys and the fact that I get to talk about books on my YouTube channel as part of my job. What the actual heck? Like, 12-year-old Rachel would be screaming, crying, throwing up. So I love you guys. Let's start off with these books. These are all books by T.L. Swan, and these are all part of a romance series called the Mile High Club. And I think they're in the correct order right now. I don't know too much about these books, and again, I kind of want to keep it that way. But obviously I know that they're romance. I'm pretty sure they're adult romances. I'm pretty sure they're pretty steamy, pretty spicy. So if that's your vibe, you might love these. I'm really excited to pick these up because I love contemporary romance series. I love old characters showing up in future books. I love found family, and usually that's what happens in series like these. So I'm hoping that I love these. And these are also so exciting because these are my first ever signed books. What the actual heck? I own signed books. I am quite simply fangirling. I was also sent Compulsion. This is a new release. I was sent this by Penguin, I believe. So thank you so much, Penguin. I received this one a couple months ago, but I'm pretty sure it's out now. I saw it in Big W the other day. I haven't picked it up yet. I would love to know your thoughts if you've read this and like what you think the vibe is. It just sounds really interesting, and the cover is beautiful. I also got a package from HarperCollins, and they sent these two books. So firstly, we have Never Never by Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher. This is like an older book that has just been traditionally published by HarperCollins, so huge thank you to them for sending this my way. But I'm pretty sure this is like maybe a romance suspense romance, I don't know which way that goes, or like a thriller that also includes a romance. But obviously we know Colleen is a romance author, and I'm pretty sure Taryn Fisher is a thriller author. And I've actually had a couple friends message me recently and be like, you will love that book, like it is so good. So very excited to pick this up. And then they also sent this book by Taryn Fisher, which is called An Honest Lie, and I'm pretty sure this is a thriller. And again, I had people message me and be like, Rachel, this is such a good book, you're gonna love it. So I'm excited. I feel like I haven't been in my thriller era, but I'm excited to get back into it. I showed this in a vlog recently, but of course I had to show it here too. I got sent a copy of Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score, which is set to come out at the end of February, I'm pretty sure. I'm not exactly sure when this video is going up, but as of right now, this book is not out yet. And all I'm gonna say is, if you liked Things We Never Got Over, you need to pick up this book, because I think you're gonna love it, maybe just as much, maybe even more, but you guys gotta get your hands on it because it is chef's kiss. I have one more book to show you. I literally opened the package like an hour ago, and it is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This is super exciting for us Australians because this book is now traditionally published, which means it is so much easier for us Aussies to get our hands on. It'll be sold in all of your favorite bookstores. I know the book itself has been out for a while, but it has been very expensive to get a physical copy here in Australia. So for all of my Australian bookish girlies out there, you can finally get your hands on this for a very reasonable price. And also, Our Spine is Purple. I know that the original like self-published version was pink, but I love the purple. I think it is stunning, and honestly just the cover itself is beautiful. If you haven't heard about Icebreaker, I feel like it is like a TikTok book to the max, but it's a sports romance. I've also heard that this is a pretty like spicy time, so don't let the cartoon cover fool you, because I know we've all been there. And a huge thank you to Simon & Schuster for sending that one over to me as well. But those are all the books I have to share with you guys today. I hope you enjoyed watching this haul. I freaking love watching book hauls and of course filming them as well. But I love you guys so much. I hope you're having a fantastic day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.